As we dig into it, the topic of brand safety, right? It's such a big topic, and we've been running the summits and expanding to Brand Safety Week, and we always think about how we talk about it. You know, it's kind of how we think about it. And one of the things that we're starting to think about is brand safety is akin to current events. And the reason we think that is because, you know, whether it's a new regulation on data or whether it's an ad fraud attack or a change in a standard or something, effectively it is the news of the industry, of the moment. So that's how we're thinking about it. I'm just curious from your perspective, do you think we're thinking about it the right way? Is that off?
I can see the point. I think really it's a proxy for velocity of content creation. News and current affairs is high velocity. Every day, every hour, even every minute, there is more news being created. And so the way we would think about it from a safety but also suitability perspective, for marketers, their job is to find and control the contexts that are going to work out best for their campaign. Yeah. They're going to work out best for their brand identity. So finding those matches, whether it's against news and current affairs or something else, is about doing so rapidly, at scale, and understanding, you know, what is the context in which I'm trying to connect with my audience. So I do think you're onto something there, and I think really it is around being able to control for high velocity content generation.
Got it. Cool. Thank you for the feedback. And so, you know, we're in Cannes, and you know, what's the kind of coolest, funnest thing you've seen done so far? I mean, tell me about your time here so far.
Well, I'll just say it is good to be back to business in person, as you were saying. I think that's the one thing that struck me more than any of the exhibits, any of the showings, is just meeting people again in person is huge. Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot of activation along the beach, and I'd say one of the things that surprised me a little is just how much the metaverse is in the discourse. Everyone's talking about how do we unlock this new medium, how do we engage with it, how do we control for safety, suitability, how do we just do it well? And I don't think I was necessarily expecting that, but I've noticed that's coming up a lot. Obviously, CTV is a hot topic, and cookieless future continues to be you know, top of everyone's mind.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Crazy, right? Yeah, we did some data protection sessions, and we're asking people, why is cookieless the wrong question? You know, but we'll get to that. But you're here this week, you know, kind of, you're working, right? So what if you had to say there's 2-3 things I really want to get done this week, what would they be?
Yeah, I think firstly, it's a meeting-a-thon. Like, and I'm sure it's the same for you. We're just meeting with everyone. We're meeting with marketers, their agencies. We're meeting with partners, whether that's a walled garden, DSPs, and the publishers, of course. So for us, it really is about continuing to foster those relationships, continuing to double down on some of our roadmap plans, and just building amazing products to serve the industry is really the goal here. And this coming together in person is just one step on the road. It's a mechanism for us to collect feedback, a mechanism for us to share what we're doing. Yeah. And I would just say that's the one thing we want to achieve, is maintain and grow our relationships with our key constituents.
Yeah, just use the time. And you know, a lot of people they tee stuff up and they handshake it here in Cannes, right? You know, this is the place, right? It's like, I did the deal here, I did a deal in Cannes, right?
It absolutely goes down here, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Good. So back to the news. Right, so we're producing a news show, and we're asking executives like yourselves to comment on stuff that's happening in the news. Is kind of part of what we're doing here. And so, just an item for the news. You know, last week, Google, Twitter, and Facebook, Meta, announced that they were going to do an attack on deep fakes based on something going on in the European Union. So, tell me, you know, you're in the measurement business. You follow this stuff super closely. What do you think that means, and what do you think, you know, is really happening?
I mean, I think it's huge. I think it's an absolute positive step to have some sort of rule, some sort of guidelines, some sort of countermeasure against deepfakes. Deepfakes not only pose, I think what often gets the attention is personal threats to individuals, but it's also easy to forget there are real political implications for creating fake content, making political figures or other prominent figures seem like they're saying or doing something that they never did. And then you start to get into, well, you know, particularly for videos, this is monetizable content, and brands don't want to be monetizing misinformation. And deepfake is essentially a very sophisticated form of misinformation. So I think it's a huge positive step. I think we're all still yet to learn a little bit more about the mechanics of what the guidelines mean and what's actually going to be done. But I do think it's the right topic. How do you stop this very sophisticated form of misinformation, and how do you stop monetizing that as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole concept of mis and disinformation is just continuing to develop legs as a thought leadership and action item. Right? It's like, what are we doing about it? How do you solve for it? How do you create a categorization so that you can solve for it at some point in our industry, even programmatically? I mean, are you guys thinking about that too?
I mean, I think, some of the tragic events unfolding, the war in Eastern Europe, have really brought the idea to marketers that how do we make sure we're not funding any of these bad actors that might be associated with illegal actions like that? How do we make sure that we're not supporting mis and disinformation sites? And so from our perspective, we're seeing a lot of our clients come to us with questions. How do we do this? How do we protect? And so for us, at IAS, we have a partnership with the Global Disinformation Index. We lean on their editorial experience to identify some of the mis and disinformation out there, and it's paired with our tech to do so in a fast way. So I think, obviously, deeply unfortunate what we're observing continuing to unfold there. I think for our industry, it just brought this topic, far more to top of mind than maybe it was previously.
Got it. Thank you. You're hearing from one of the best, so and one of the leaders in the measurement space. And so, thank you, Tony. This is great. Really appreciate it. Thanks for being here. And that's the news live from Cannes. Thanks, everyone.